Hey, hey, it's Christine Walsh. Welcome to Made for Money, the podcast made for women like you who know they are made for money. And I'm your host, financial coach for the past 10 years, accountant for the past 15-ish years, and previous Wall Street senior vice president turned ski bum and serial entrepreneur. I've seen a lot and I've heard a lot when it comes to money and women. This is season 2 of Made for Money. The first 13 episodes have been about my approach to money and my philosophy to money. It's an approach that's considered outside the box, it's innovative, it's thought-provoking, and it's thinking about money differently. Look, the game of money has changed, but for many of us women, our operating system and how we think about money and how we feel about money and how we act with our money hasn't kept up. And so this podcast is about changing that. The first 13 episodes have been about my approach to money, my philosophy to money, an approach that is outside the box. It's innovative, it's thought-provoking, it's thinking from things differently. The game of money has changed, but for many of us, our operating system and how we think about money and feel about money and act with money hasn't necessarily kept up. And so this podcast is about changing that. And the first 13 episodes speak to what is relevant now in the world of money and women and power. And being made for money is not all about philosophy and concept and energetics and mindset, but also about strategy. And the intersection of where you are energetically and relationally with money, and then how you apply that to the financial strategy will dictate your success with money. And right now, many women founders are in contraction, seeing the headlines, feeling the hard nose, feeling uncertainty about all the things, experiencing longer sales cycles, noticing buyers doing their due diligence on their purchasing. And all of that can lead anyone to feeling financially unstable. And so with that said, welcome to Made for Money, where, as a reminder, we are not the doing fake finger quotes, prepare for impact women. We are the build capacity and structure with love and compassion financial goddesses. So season 1 was about healing, was about embodiment, was about sustainability and capacity. And now it's time, particularly in this moment, and I'm feeling it, to get very practical. And we need both. This is what I call financial maturation. This is pulling emotional intelligence around money and leading our money through sovereignty and boots on the ground, practical steps forward. They move together. So today I'm discussing how a regulated, embodied woman founder designs durable revenue in any economy, including this one and all the ones. So let's build stability in your business for the life of your business. So every time your revenue dips, you don't feel destabilized in that. That is one of my big missions. And it's the work that I've done for myself, as well as many, many, many clients. So money is cyclical. There's again, just another reminder here, money is cyclical, just like us women. And that's not what has been modeled for us by the masculine structure around money. And for that matter, how we women look at our bodies as well. And a lot of that's been stripped from us, and it's time to reclaim it for our bodies and our money. So I'm going to go through 3 practical steps and 2 energetic reminders to get us going. And we're going to build business revenue. This is the invitation that doesn't stress your nervous system in any economy. I want to be very important about underlining that, because money will bring up all the stuff in any economy. So if we're letting the economy or the headlines drive our financial foundation, we're going to be behind. We're going to feel that for sure. So money may be cyclical, there's no doubt about it, but it will always, always, always be about the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. And it's actually one thing that I love about numbers is that they are no drama. There's no story. It's just the facts, ma'am. And it's us with all of our stories and all of our history that projects onto money how it shows up for us. And that it needs to stop, especially if you're building a business that you want to create more revenue, more profitability around. Because this is the thing, a big month in your business doesn't mean a stable business. And a low month doesn't mean you're failing and throw the baby out with the bathwater. The real problem is that most women founders that are stressing right now, and what I'm seeing out in the marketplace, are building their businesses that rely on one client, one offer, one concentrated aspect of their business to bring in revenue. And because that's not necessarily shored up, given longer sales cycles, buyer behavior right now, it's stressful. Practical step numero uno is what I call the revenue concentration audit. So let's get into it. I'm going to get you doing some work right off the bat here. I want you to ask yourself, or, maybe more boots on the ground, calculate how much of your revenue comes from one client. How much of your revenue comes from one offering or event as a percentage of the whole. So to calculate that number, you would take the revenue that you could look at 2025, take the revenue of that one client or that one offer or that one event, and you divide it into the full revenue that you've received in 2025 or any year for that matter. It could be January. And if it's over 50%, this is my guideline. If it's over 50%, we got a problem and we need to look at that and address that. And if you do that calculation, and you may be even mentally doing it right now, if that number is feeling heavy and perhaps scaring you, that's a good thing. Take a deep breath. I'm here with you. I got your back. And what you're receiving is clarity, and clarity is power. So the reminder here is that you are the power, and taking that back by owning that number. It is what it is. Now you know you have the baseline, and knowing that number, now we can do something about it. So that's practical step number one. Practical step number two is working towards a combination of core recurring revenue with layered revenue. So I'll get into this. Right now, recurring revenue is key. I feel it's always been key, and it's actually never went out of style, but it's more relevant right now. So I want you to consider what in your business is recurring revenue as a percentage of whole. And that might be requiring you to do a couple more calculations, taking a look at your books. Hopefully they are updated. I know that can be a thing, but even intuitively, I'll trust you all and your intuition that there is a deeper knowing of, like, I know this, give or take ballpark, that this is the amount of recurring revenue that I have as a percentage of the whole. Again, you're taking that piece that's recurring revenue and you are dividing it into the full revenue, and you get that percentage. So what is recurring revenue? As a reminder, revenue could be retainers, it could be subscription services, it could be memberships, it could be ongoing care or caseloads focused on retention. It could be employer or school contracts. It could be advisory model. It could be maintenance models or oversight models. I think of as an accountant, sort of that oversight offering, if you will, that could be recurring, as well as licensing curriculum if you have IP. Recurring revenue is a lot about retention, and it's about cadence, and it's about relationships, and it's a lot about safety. So then there's layered revenue. And layered revenue examples of that would be workshops, one-off speaking events or keynotes, launches, intensives, retreats like 5-day challenges, annual events, offsites, panels. And even though this is an approach of like, how much recurring revenue do I have and how much layered revenue, as you're reflecting on this, what my recommendation is that any of the layered revenue feeds back into the recurring revenue. So whatever you're designing that's layered, the back end of that is inviting people to a more recurring strategy. And it's both, right? It's strategically designed that way. It's a both and. And if you don't, I want to remind you here as I get into this, you don't need 15 offers. You need intentional design. You need intentional architecture of your business offering matrix. And a lot of women founders don't look at that, right? So the core revenue gives you the stability and the safety, and the layered revenue gives you excitement and newness. That's how I think about it, but also income spikes in a good way as you need, and they definitely work off each other. All right, practical step number 3, know your numbers and your cash buffer. So this is where I want to get into straight up, real deal. What do you need to make each month to cover your operating expenses? I am surprised, I should say, by how many women I ask what your operating expense is for the month. I mean, I don't know where we got the idea that we don't need to know that number, and that number is key. It's not the number we'd like to make, perhaps. It's not the number we might want, but it's what's already happening. I've often called it our money floor, and some people call it your monthly nut. What exactly do you need to cover your operating expenses each month? And then from there, you want to take that number and you want to multiply it by 3 to represent 3 months. And that will be your cash buffer. That is a great place because at 3 months of operating reserves, your nervous system will feel in a place of spaciousness. It will feel from a place of resourcefulness. And it definitely won't feel on edge if you're feeling that right now. So no matter how big your revenue months are or low, we're looking to build up that cash buffer. So how can you do that? My initial recommendation, obviously, I'm speaking to a wide variety of people here with different circumstances, but one example could be as deposits come into your bank account, you're taking a percentage of those each deposit, each month, each week, whatever it is, and putting that into a separate bank account. A percentage could be 1%. It doesn't have to be drastic. It has to be practical, and it has to be from a place of cadence, but also about principle, right? Taking that money and putting it somewhere so that you are starting to build up that cash buffer. All right, those are my 3 practical boots on the ground steps, and I can't not include some energetic shifts and things to remind you. So I just had 2 that I want to list out with you. And the first one is around the idea of more, and that we are looking more so at profitability than growing revenue or more offers or something like that. So most women founders I am noticing these days are super stressed on focusing and adding more revenue without considering profitability. It is a chronic issue. And ultimately, when we're focused on more revenue, this is just kind of natural byproduct. We're ultimately working harder because we're not considering the profitability as well. So right now, if I were you, I would be asking myself, where can I increase margins? So margins represent when we have revenue come in and we have our expenses come out, what's left over, and increasing that. So that could be either increasing revenue or decreasing expenses, or there's several other ways to go about that. But simply said, basically increasing our margins with the current offering matrix I have. Another question would be, where can I simplify? Simplifying right now, I think, is the secret weapon to navigating these economic times. Where can I simplify? And simplify doesn't mean pull back. It doesn't have to mean like slowing down or failing, because I know at the heart of it, it can feel like that. But what low margin offering is simply draining me that I can probably let go of. Maybe it's that, like, how can I make this easier on myself? How can I simplify, but actually then create robustness in that simplification? And that really is the secret to this idea around clear and clean revenue. Stripping back the things that don't really produce. As I've shared before, so much about our money work is about us being honest. It's about us being humble, compassionate towards ourselves, because there's so much story wrapped up in it. And sometimes it's just about the numbers. So we get clear on those numbers, and then we're not responding to financial instability with reaction. We're responding with taking a deep breath, getting grounded in the numbers, and then moving forward with practical steps like the ones I've shared, with a whole shitload of love and compassion, especially in this economic climate that we're in. And this is cultivating financial maturation, right? That ability to be in with the current chaos, if you will, of the world, and being a steward of our financial well-being. Because the powers that be want us to actually self-sabotage. And we cannot do that. We can't do that for ourselves. We can't do that for our families. We can't do that for our communities. We can't do that for our growth as humanity. And we're standing together. That's my offering right now, is us standing together as a new paradigm of money modeling. All right. Money mindset shift number 2. You are the power. I know I've said it before, and that's so much about what Made for Money is about. You are so much more powerful than you're giving yourself credit for with money. And we just need to stop giving it so much power. And we need to stop giving the economy so much power. We need to stop giving. It's almost gets to a point where we're actually making excuses and blaming it on money, blaming it on economy. And that is just not fair. It's not fair to ourselves, and it's not fair to the health of our financial well-being, personally or professionally, for that matter. So the thing that I do know is that more millionaires, whether or not you want to be a millionaire or not, but more people make more money in financially tougher times than others. And why is that? Because we get resourceful. We think outside the box to solving problems. We actually rise above. It requires us to think beyond what we're currently doing. And that is a good thing. I mean, if you're in business, you're solving problems. So remove the drama, know your numbers, build a cash buffer, design your offerings and what your services are, your products are, for durability. And this is the thing. Success with money is a both and. It's success being an entrepreneur and a woman founder is about a both and. It's about equanimity. We need both and. And if you can navigate and own your own ability to hold both and as an entrepreneur, everything is available. And that is what I will leave you with. So, and if you want support auditing your revenue structure and what you're up to in your business, there's a link in the show notes below. Schedule a financial assessment with me. I'm happy to hop on the phone with any of y'all. I would love to hear what you're up to. It's always so amazing to hear what women are building these days. And if this episode landed for you, I bet there is another woman who needs less money drama in her life and more intentional money design. And I would love for you to share it. I'd be so grateful. And remember, you were made for money, and money was made to move through women like you. And I can't wait to see what you create. All right. Until next week. Bye for now.